This story explores how humans respond to fear in a way unlike any other species. While most creatures try to hide or control their fear, humans use it as a source of strength. 3 young human soldiers with deep, painful pasts show how terror can become a tool for survival and teamwork. Their fear sharpens their minds and bodies, making them faster and stronger when facing impossible dangers. The story is full of tension and action as these humans train with alien soldiers, showing skills no one understands. Their unique way of using fear changes the rules of battle and causes confusion and fear in others. The stakes are high. If the galaxy cannot accept humans' strange power, they might be cast out or even destroyed. But if they learn to work with humans, they could unlock a new future in war and survival. Instructor Kel Reth Vas Torin sat in the darkened monitoring room. Her 12 eyes flicked over the data streams, watching the patterns dance across her screens. She was an Ashkari, a hunter species with sharp instincts and deep knowledge of prey behavior. Today, she was studying fear. But not just any fear. She was about to see something strange, something terrifying. The room hummed with quiet energy as the biometric sensors collected heart rates, brain waves, and hormone levels from the test subjects. First came the usual suspects. Ashkari prey animals showed clear signs of stress, heartbeats quickening, small bursts of panic followed by calm. The Urlani, another species, kept their fear steady, controlled by cold logic and training. Then, the 3 humans arrived. Ford Kalen was first. He was young, only 22, but there was something calm in his movements that caught Kel's attention. He sat like a cat pretending to sleep, watching everything. His body showed signs of high stress, the kind that should leave any being trembling or frozen. But Ford moved with smooth confidence. When asked about his military past, he answered in a quiet voice, telling how he lost his crew in an accident, how he found them drifting in space. No sadness or anger, just facts. A cold, hard report. Next was Nakamura Yuki. She smiled softly, her hands steady. Her brain showed constant low-level fear, enough to break many species quickly. But she laughed lightly and moved with ease. Her story was of growing up in field hospitals, treating wounded soldiers while bombs fell. Her humor was sharp, but it hid years of pain. Last came Hes Jaram, just 19 and the youngest squad leader in Academy history. Raised under the ice of Europa, his breathing was unusual, steady in a way that seemed planned. He said he had learned to live with pressure all his life. When things broke around him, he knew what would fail first, next, and last. His fingers drummed a steady beat on his thigh as if counting time against disaster. Kel's hunting instincts screamed that these humans were not prey. Their fear was not weakness. It was something else. Something dangerous. Later, she told Administrator Gore Theta, their baseline fear is too high. It will mess with the other cadets. We need to train it down, control it. Gore nodded, agreed. Schedule fear response training. They must fit in. But Kel felt wrong. She had watched too closely. This was no broken prey to fix. These humans used fear like a weapon. The first training exercise was simple, a corridor assault against holographic enemies. The Ashkari and Urlani cadets moved through the killbox, showing textbook fear responses. Sharp panic followed by calm. Their heart rates stayed steady. But when the humans entered, everything changed. Pressure check, Hess whispered, voice calm. Green across, Ford replied. Vitals steady, Nakamura said. As the first holographic target appeared, Ford's heart rate shot from 70 to 180 beats per minute. Kel expected panic, chaos, or freezing. Instead, Ford's aim sharpened. His movements were quick and precise. His voice calm and clear. Contact left, he called. Overwatch set, Nakamura replied, a dry smile in her voice. Kel watched their bodies. They moved in perfect sync, like water flowing. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Ford led the advance, Nakamura covered him. Hess coordinated, pushing his stress beyond normal limits, making tactical decisions faster than any computer should allow. They cleared the corridor in half the expected time. Kel demanded a system check. Surely, her sensors were wrong. They were not. She separated the humans for interviews. Ford was quiet, his eyes steady. Fear slows time inside your head, he said. When everything's breaking, fear helps you see the failures before they explode. Terror keeps you alive. Nakamura smiled softly. Fear is a vital sign. When you work in trauma, you learn to read others' fear. You use it to guide, to save lives. We used fear as data. Hess was chilling. Pressure is everywhere. I grew up with alarms waking me, ice breaking. You learn to accept death as normal. When you do that, fear becomes a tool. You control it, use it. Kel's multiple eyes stayed fixed on them. Their words were strange, their control unnatural. 3 days later, the multi-species training started. Other teams near the humans showed strange reactions. Stress levels spiked. Some species felt hunted, like prey sensing a predator near. Yet, instead of panic, those teams' performance improved. Kel called it biological hijacking. The humans' fear was so strong it forced others into heightened alertness. Their terror became contagious, but also empowering. Paired training pushed this further. Humans and aliens worked in two-person fire teams. Ashkari paired with humans moved sharper, faster. The Thun felt a new sharpness in their calm minds. No one understood how it worked. The humans' fear created a shared bond, a high-speed connection that seemed to cross species. The academy was divided. Some wanted to isolate humans. Others saw their power as a tool. Kel decided to push testing further. The disaster simulation was brutal, a reactor breach with no room for error. Fear was supposed to break the trainees. But the humans did something terrifying. They made themselves afraid, deliberately. They fed on terror. Ford relived his worst moments, raising his stress to dangerous levels. Nakamura imagined every patient she failed. Hess cycled through fears of habitat collapse. Instead of breaking, their minds raced faster, solving problems in seconds. Kel watched, amazed and scared. Their terror formed a shared mind, a living network of pure focus. This was not panic. This was evolution. The humans called it stress inoculation, training to weaponize fear. Their breathing rhythms and quiet sounds formed a secret language, carrying complex data faster than words. When they entered combat exercises, their fear levels rose. But their skills became nearly superhuman. They moved with a deadly dance, anticipating threats, communicating without speaking. The other species broke down under such pressure. Ashkari fled. Rex Dahl, a veteran instructor, demanded the humans be expelled. But Kel argued they were not broken. They were optimized for something new. The humans did not just survive fear. They made fear their strength. The Academy arranged a final test, the Terminus exam. Defend a colony against overwhelming forces, no help, no hope. As the simulation began, the humans entered their ritual. Hess counted fears like safety checks. Ford cataloged dangers like a miner checking equipment. Nakamura planned for losses like a field medic. Their hearts raced, their minds synced. The battle was brutal. They took losses, faced death. But fear became their fuel. Their minds sharpened beyond normal limits. They predicted attacks before they came. They worked as one. Hours passed. Ammunition ran out. Life support failed. Still, they fought. Kel watched, torn between awe and fear. At the end, when the last human fell, they had destroyed countless enemies and created new tactics no one understood. Kel presented her report. Fear was not a weakness but a weapon. Humans had evolved to master terror itself. The room was silent. Some species saw hope, others saw danger. The humans were changing the future of war. Kel smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. The hall was quiet after Kelreth's report. Many species whispered, some looked away, others stared hard. The humans' way of using fear confused them. Most believed fear was something to fight or hide. But these humans made it into a weapon. A strange, powerful weapon. 3 months passed. The Stellar Defense Academy began changing. New classes formed to teach how to work with humans. Kel led the Department of Stress Response Warfare. Her 12 eyes scanned eager students, some nervous, some excited. Humans trained with aliens, teaching them to face fear head-on. It was not easy. Many species could not accept this new method. Some left the program, unwilling to feel terror as strength. One afternoon, Kel watched a training exercise in the Crucible. A young Vorak cadet was paired with a human instructor. The scenario was terrifying, an urban battlefield filled with collapsing buildings, screams, and explosions. The Vorak's heart raced. Her eyes widened. But she did not fight the fear. Instead, she let it flow through her, like the humans taught her. Her breathing matched the humans' calm rhythm. Her focus sharpened. The panic turned into clarity. Her instincts, usually scattered by terror, now pointed like arrows. Kel smiled. Finally, her hunting mind understood. Humans were not just prey who learned to fight. They were a new kind of predator. Perfect blends of hunted and hunter. Masters of fear itself. Back in the training halls, Ford, Nakamura, and Hess prepared for the next challenge. Their bond had grown deeper than friendship. They finished each other's thoughts, fears, and movements. One evening, Ford sat alone, looking at the stars outside the window. His pale eyes reflected distant worlds. The weight of loss and survival pressed on his chest. He thought of his lost crew, frozen in space, gone forever. Fear was a wound that never healed. Nakamura joined quietly, sitting beside him. "You carry too much," she said softly. Ford smiled, tired. "Fear keeps me alive." She nodded. "And it feeds our strength." Hess entered, his calm face serious. "Tomorrow's exercise will push us to the edge." They had heard the rumors. The academy wanted to test the limits of their fear weapon. Some thought it dangerous. Others believed it was their destiny. The next day, the squad entered the simulation chamber. This was no ordinary test. The lights dimmed, replaced by the flicker of collapsing buildings and distant gunfire. The sound of screams echoed through the walls. "Pressure check," Hess said quietly, voice steady as always. "Fear load ready," Ford replied, his voice carrying the hard edge of experience. "Vitals stable," Nakamura added, checking their suit monitors. The scenario was brutal. Waves of enemies pushed them back. Civilians screamed for help. The squad moved like a single organism, their terror and focus weaving together. They dodged, shot, and healed with uncanny speed. Ford's heart pounded at impossible speeds. His mind slowed, seeing every threat, every weak point. He called out positions, directing fire with surgical precision. Nakamura's eyes scanned for injured teammates and civilians. Her fear of loss made her sharper, faster. She healed wounds even as bullets flew. Hess calculated enemy movements, predicting attacks before they happened. His childhood beneath Europa's ice gave him a strange calm in disaster. He told the others, "Fear is pressure. We control it by knowing the worst will come." Hours passed like minutes. Their bodies ached. Their minds burned. Yet, they fought on. Observers in the control room gasped. The squad's performance shattered all records. Other teams watched in awe and terror. Some felt nausea, as if hunted by unseen predators. After the exercise, Kel gathered the squad. "You are pushing fear beyond limits," she warned. Ford looked tired but smiling. "Fear isn't the enemy. It's the fuel." Nakamura nodded. "We don't fight fear. We become it." Hess's eyes glowed with cold certainty. "Fear makes us whole." Kel realized then they were no longer just soldiers. They were the future of warfare. A new kind of life. Meanwhile, in the council chambers of Threshold Station, debate raged. 63 species argued fiercely over the humans. Some called for their removal, fearing contamination of military doctrine and stability. Others urged acceptance, seeing humans as an unstoppable force. Gore Theta's probability models failed to predict what humans could do. Their tactics broke ancient rules. Finally, the council agreed on a test, the terminus examination. The humans would defend a civilian colony against impossible odds. If they succeeded, they would stay. If they failed, they would be expelled. The humans prepared quietly. Their rituals deepened. Fear assignments sharpened. Ford carried fears of structural collapse. Nakamura bore fears of patient loss. Hess held fears of mission failure. Together, they became a weapon forged in terror. On the day of the exam, they entered the battlefield. Enemy forces swarmed like a dark storm. Yet, the humans moved with impossible grace. Their synchronized fear response became a high-speed network, predicting attacks, coordinating movements, and managing chaos. They took losses but grew stronger. Their minds expanded beyond limits, processing fear into clarity. Kel watched from the observation deck, her heart pounding. The battle stretched for hours. Supplies ran low. Ammunition vanished. Still, the humans fought. They rigged explosives, patched defenses, and healed wounds with desperate hope. When the last human fell, they had changed everything. The galaxy would never see fear the same way again. Kel closed her report with a warning and a hope. Fear was not the enemy. It was the ultimate weapon. The silence in the chamber was thick after Kel's report. Every species was trying to understand what they had seen. The humans had changed the rules of war, but no one knew if that change was good or dangerous. Kel's department grew fast. Soldiers and cadets from many worlds came to learn the human way of fear. Some adapted well. Others could not accept the idea of using terror as strength. They left, afraid of what it meant. Ford, Nakamura, and Hess became teachers and leaders. Their bond was stronger than ever. They worked not only as soldiers but as pioneers of a new fighting style. One night, as the academy slept, Ford sat alone in the training yard. The stars were bright and cold above. His mind went back to the past, the loss of his crew, the emptiness of space. The fear never left him. It lived inside, sharpening him like a blade. Nakamura found him there. She sat beside him, her presence calm and steady. "You carry too much," she said softly. Ford smiled, tired. "Fear keeps me alive." She nodded. "And it makes us strong." Hess joined them, his breathing slow and even. "Tomorrow, we face the greatest test yet." The terminus examination was near. The academy watched with a mix of hope and dread. The test was simple but cruel: defend a colony against impossible enemies. No help would come. No victory was promised. Ford's voice broke the silence. "We're ready." The simulation began with roaring explosions and screaming civilians. The squad moved like water, flowing through the chaos. Their terror sang a deadly song. Ford's heart raced, but his mind slowed. He saw every weakness, every chance. "Enemy at Sector 7, he called. Nakamura's eyes scanned for injured. 5 casualties here, she said, starting treatment. Hess's voice was calm, cold. They're flanking from the east. Prepare a trap. The humans worked as one, connected by fear and trust. They shared pain and hope, turning terror into power. Hours passed. Supplies ran low. The enemy pressed harder. But the squad held. They fought beyond exhaustion. Their fear made them faster, stronger, smarter. Observers in the room gasped. This was not training. It was evolution. When the final wave came, Ford spoke quietly. Pressure check. All systems failing, Hess answered. Patient state critical, Nakamura added. Still, they fought. Their movements became a dance of death. Each knew the other's fears, used them to survive. In the end, the squad fell. But they had won. The council was silent. Then, slowly, applause rose from some corners. Others stayed cold and distant. Kel smiled sadly. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Fear was no longer a weakness. It was the greatest weapon the galaxy had ever seen. The weeks after the Terminus exam were filled with debate and change. The council's chambers buzzed with arguments, fear, and hope. Many species feared the humans' power. They whispered about contamination, about chaos spreading through centuries of tradition. Others saw a new future, one where fear was no longer a weakness but a tool for survival and victory. Kel-Reth watched it all, her 12 eyes sharp and thoughtful. The humans had changed everything, but the galaxy was not ready. Ford, Nakamura, and Hess became symbols, living proof of what fear could do. They traveled the academy, teaching others to embrace terror, to transform it. The training was brutal. It forced soldiers to face their darkest memories and deepest fears. Some broke. Some became stronger than anyone expected. One day, Kel visited the training hall where a mixed-species squad was running a drill. A young Ashkari named Vesh struggled. His hands shook, his breath short and quick. Fear was overwhelming him. Ford stepped forward. Let it in, he said quietly. Don't fight it. Use it. Vesh looked confused. How? Fear isn't the enemy, Ford explained. It's the signal. The warning. When you accept it, you control it. Nakamura and Hess joined in, guiding Vesh through breathing exercises and mental focus. Slowly, the Ashkari's panic eased. His movements grew sharp and sure. His eyes brightened. Kel smiled. This was the change she had hoped for. But not all welcomed it. Some species refused to learn. They saw the human way as madness, dangerous and unnatural. One night, Kel received a message. A group of species planned to isolate humans. They feared the changes too much. Kel knew this was only the beginning of a greater conflict, a battle not just of weapons, but of minds and wills. Meanwhile, Ford and his team prepared for the next big test, a real mission to defend a colony under siege. The stakes were higher than ever. Failure meant death. Success meant survival and a new era. The humans gathered quietly, sharing fears and hopes. Their rituals were solemn, focused. Pressure check, Hess said, voice steady as ever. Load steady, Ford replied. Vitals strong, Nakamura confirmed. The battle began. Explosions shattered the silence. Civilians screamed. Enemy forces poured in like a flood. But the humans were calm. Their terror was fuel. Their fear sharpened every sense. Ford moved with deadly precision, calling out threats and weak points. Nakamura healed wounds with speed and care, her fear of loss making her hyper-aware. Hess coordinated, predicting enemy moves and guiding their defense. The battle raged for hours. Supplies dwindled. Allies fell. But the humans held. Their fear became a shield and a sword. When the dust settled, the colony was safe. The humans had won against impossible odds. The galaxy took notice. Kel's research showed that fear was no longer a limit but a key to unlocking new potential. The humans had taught others how to dance with terror, turning it into strength. And the war for the future of fear was just beginning. The victory at the colony sent ripples through the galaxy. Some celebrated the humans as heroes, others watched with growing fear. What the humans had done was no longer a secret. Their mastery of fear reshaped every battle, every tactic. Kel-Reth stood before the new mixed species unit, watching them train. Humans and aliens moved together, their fear responses syncing like a single heart. She saw something extraordinary, the birth of a new kind of soldier. Ford, Nakamura, and Hess led the training with quiet strength. They were no longer just cadets or soldiers. They were teachers of a terrifying truth: fear could be controlled, weaponized, and shared. One evening, after a long day of drills, the three sat together. The weight of their journey was heavy, but their bond was unbreakable. Ford looked at the stars. "We were broken once," he said softly. "Now, we're something new." Nakamura smiled. "Optimized, not broken." Hess nodded, fingers drumming a steady rhythm. "Fear is the pressure that shapes us. Without it, we're nothing." Kel approached, her many eyes reflecting pride and wonder. "You've changed everything. The galaxy will never forget what you taught us." But she also knew there was more to come. Humans were not just fighters, they were evolution in motion. The old ways would resist. The fear of fear itself ran deep in many species. But the humans had shown that terror was not a cage. It was a key. As the sun set over the academy, Kel felt a quiet thrill. The dance of fear and courage was far from over. The ultimate predator had learned to fear, and used that fear to hunt. And the galaxy was watching.